I've never seen anyone ever in my 15 years, over a decade of doing this, get away with this strategy. Welcome to How to Retire on Time, a show that answers your retirement questions. Say goodbye to that oversimplified advice you've heard hundreds of times. This show's all about getting into the nitty-gritty. Now, that said, remember, it's just a show. It should not be considered financial advice. As always, text your questions to 913-363-1234, and we'll feature them on the show. Let's begin. Hey, Mike, I've got friends who have family businesses for retirement so they can write off their family travel and fun expenses. Does that really work? Well, that's a good end to the question. The answer is no. Please don't do this. Let me give you a little background. So there's this place called the IRS, and their job is to make sure that people are following the tax code as it was intended to be done. The IRS will do this thing called an audit on people every now and then, and they'll look at your tax returns, your financials, and so on to see if it's legitimate or if there's any tomfoolery going along, any shenanigans. I've never seen anyone ever in my 15 years, over a decade of doing this, get away with this strategy. Every audit that I'm aware of, now it's never been any of my clients because I don't put up with this crap. I don't lead them down this idea of taking advantage of the tax code through these gray area ideas that don't hold water. I don't deal with this crap, but I know people do. So let's address it, okay? Here's the idea. The idea is if you have a lot of money and you're already going to be taking family vacations, why not create a company and have fancy board meetings where your family can get together, you've got some minutes and all is well, and then you go off and play. First off, all of that is a deduction, not a tax credit. You need to understand the differences. A tax deduction is you're going to get maybe 20 cents back on every dollar you spend. So why would you deliberately spend money to then get 20 cents back? And you might say, well, Mike, I'm going to spend the money anyway. Well, I guess, yeah, if you're going to spend the money anyway, you might as well get 20 cents back. I get that side of it, but you don't want to spend money for the sake of trying to get a deduction. Plus, most people aren't even going to exceed the standard deduction regardless. And then if you put the standard deduction and the senior deduction and the Trump deduction, you're now really high up. Like, it would cost a ton of money. You have to spend a ton of money to even get there. So are you jumping over dimes to pick up pennies? Do you really want to take these lavish vacations? Because it has to be so lavish, extremely lavish, for you to even facilitate the idea that maybe you could do an itemized deduction right now because the standard deduction is so high. So that's the first bit, okay? The second bit is, yeah, you could put money into like some sort of LLC, I guess, and maybe manipulate things. But look, I've never seen it pass an audit because it all comes down to a simple question. Are you running a legitimate business or not? A legitimate business is where you're actually working to create a product or service that is intended to be sold to the public for gain. That is a business. If your business is to go on vacations and then go on Instagram and say, hey, look at how fun this is, and we're sharing our experiences on the travel and blah, 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 or hey, we're doing this, and you're trying to build up a social media audience, but like you're not really trying to do it, you're just posting so you can rationalize it, it's not going to fly. Please do not assume you can cheat the IRS. They're not dumb. Now, let's take the same example and just have some fun with it. Let's say, and I'm not saying you should do this, but let's say you want to travel extensively and you want to do it with your family. Fine. Let's say then all of your family, there's 3 kids, you and 3 kids. You're going on these vacations and you legitimately all have jobs in this business. You legitimately are putting in 10, 20 hours of work at least every single week. And you're legitimately going on there and posting and taking trainings and spending marketing dollars to grow your reach and whatever you do for social media influencers and all of that. If you can legitimately show that and there's a trajectory to where you're going to make money instead of just spend money, then maybe you've got a shot in the dark. But that's a huge if, and you actually need to work. Now, here's an example where it might actually kind of make sense. So I joke about this with my family, but I'm actually pretty serious about it. My son, when he turns, I don't know, 14, 16 years old or so, is going to start a business, whether he likes it or not. I want him to learn what entrepreneurship is actually like. I want him to understand how difficult it is, because I think we've been entrepreneurship's been romanticized when it's actually rather difficult to do. Most businesses fail in the same year that they start. So I want him to start a business with the intention of scaring him out of doing a business. I want him to take a safer route unless he's really got the gumption to do this. So the joke, I don't know if it's going to be this is actually going to happen, but the company that I've picked out for him is called Buen Tacos. I like tacos. Who doesn't like tacos? But we're going to create a small food truck business called Buen Tacos, which, it's good tacos. That's what it translates to. And maybe we create an LLC. I will fund it. And maybe we take a vacation to Mexico to try out a few things. It's like a one-time vacation. We go back, we've invested in there, and then we're going from place to place, park to park, whatever we end up doing to legitimately try to do the business. So there is some research to it, which kind of would be a lot of fun, but it all is going to be going down into trying to make money. And we could legitimately project the research, the trajectory, the inventory, what we've purchased, and when we're going to break even and all of that. It would be treated as a legitimate business. And if he takes off with it, then great. Maybe we sell it. Maybe we franchise it. I don't know. Whatever we end up doing. But it's really meant to be an exercise. But the exercise is intended to make more money than we put into it. So then we can start to rationalize what we're deducting, what we're spending on, and so on. Are we going to invite cousins to these trips? No. Are we going to be inviting other extended family to the trips? That doesn't make business sense. You've got to keep things within certain parameters. So just be mindful of that. And just for fun, I already bought the domain, so it's just sitting there. But that's going to be a real thing. So if you're in Kansas City and I don't know, in 10 years, you remember this show? Buen Tacos. And then I've got the other one, Yoy Teriyaki, because I'm from Seattle originally and I love teriyaki. I would love to have real teriyaki here in Kansas City. And that stands for good teriyaki, just in Japanese, I think. We'll check Google Translate later. But anyway, the point is, don't cheat the IRS. Don't spend money just to get the deduction. It's different deductions. You might get 20 cents back on the dollar, maybe. A credit is dollar for dollar. You're not buying credits. You're not getting credits for this. And do not treat the IRS. You really want to make sure that you're doing a legitimate enterprise if you go down this route. And if you do, maybe that's your encore career. Maybe you have a lot of fun doing it. Just don't cheat the system.